Hello, everyone. What's going on? Jazzy Jazz will be here soon. Just jazz to you. Hello.
Hey. So, one of my headphones are not working.
Really? Are they the dying
It's
slowly?
supposed to be charged.
Okay. Let's share.
Sharing with friends.
I need to get more light in this house.
It's too dark.
What you think?
Oh,
Okay.
I can't see it.
Oh, okay. I can see you. It's fine. I got a message from distant connections.
I have this like jazzy playlist. Not like me,
Jazzy jazz.
No.
The jazziest.
But like jazz music, yeah.
I like it.
It's like, yeah, it's super like mellow.
Chill. I love it.
Hey,
Hey, Annie.
umbrellas in the building.
Dedicated. Going on. I know we always have the lag though.
It's so good to see ya.
Hey, Joey.
The little 801 plus any game.
Cousins.
Got some lemon tea in the building.
You know, I never tried one of these and I'm scared to. I'm gonna try it anyways.
Oh, a filter? I was like, what are you talking about? We're not talking about lemon tea. That's nice. Is it?
Yeah, you have like options down here. I don't. Ooh. Wait.
Oh no, that's rude.
Uh-oh. Yeah, let's not do it. Richmond neighborhoods.
I can't get like to a nice one. Okay, this is a little nice. It's like orangish. Oh, I don't like it anymore.
I like this one. This is kind of, vibey.
You said vibey?
Yeah, vibey.
Oh my gosh. Maybe this one?
That's my Valentine. Shot one at you.
Oh, it's not Valentine's yet. We still got a couple months. These are so extreme.
Ooh.
I'm gonna go with this one. I think this is the one that you had.
That's the one I had.
Or maybe similar to it. 801 for
Should we stick with this the whole time or no? Is that distracting?
Stick with the filter? I mean, I think as long as it's not distracting, I think we're great.
I think this is very distracting. All right.
It's like spicy. I'm good with no filters. They know what we look like. They'll come to accept us as we are.
Yes. Yeah. We're excited about the results of the election.
Yes.
It's fantastic. Yes. Away with the old and in with the kind of new. I know we've seen them before. Yeah, what do you think? You want to get started?
Yeah, we can get started. I'm down.
Yeah, we played around a little bit, so I think we're settled. So, hi guys, I'm Sarah,
And I'm Jazz.
and this is our Sunday talk series. Let's unpack.
Yes, yes, yes. We're here to talk all about life, creativity, and inspiration.
Yes, and you want to make sure that this is still maintaining a safe environment for everyone to feel free to communicate, but as well respect with each other and everyone in this space. And that's reflected in the comments, guests, and topics that we explore.
Facts, facts. Make sure you grab your tea or a little beverage to sip on while we unpack. And let's get into it.
Get into it. Yes. So, Jazz, how was your week? What's new?
This week has been a lot. Of course, with the election. I know that you had some stuff going on with work last week, and you probably still do. I got some stuff going on at work, and it's very different. Learning how to process, learning how to deal with everything. But yeah, it's been a little rough. Not gonna lie, it's been a little rough this week, specifically at work. And I was so actually, my job did let us out. Excuse me. My job allowed us to have election day off. So I was super thankful for that because I needed the sleep. I needed the rest. I'd already sent in my ballot absentee, but it was super helpful just to have like a day off. But
yeah,
looking forward to the rest of this Sunday, just trying to enjoy it as best as I can before I go back into work. So yeah. How are you doing?
I'm doing good too. So last week we talked about stressors and stuff. So hopefully, like that helped you get through this rough week and remember to get through the tunnel and make it out. And there is a light at the end of the tunnel. So hold on tight. I know it's a tough ride though. But yeah, my week. Wow, super uneventful. I'm not gonna lie. If I can't really remember much besides like constantly checking my phone of like the poll results and stuff like that, which at the end of the week we found out the results. Biden is the new president. Will be inaugurated in January, so bringing in the new year, and then we can say my vice president is black.
Biden.
Yes, Biden 2021. I'm all for it. And I think it just gave me more hope for the future. Shed a little tear for Kamala. She's gonna be the one bringing the change. So I'm excited to see what that administration is gonna do, and full support. Even though I wasn't able to vote because I'm not a citizen, I am very happy with the results because it affects everybody here and around the world, as everybody's been tuning in anxiously. So, yeah, definitely happy about this.
Yeah, and it's like it is so historic too, to have a madam vice president. We've not had one before, and then like she's also Black and Indian, so that's like wow, like wow.
Yes,
amazing things.
Lots of firsts. Yeah.
It's good to reflect about our week. Also have some water.
Yeah, but this week or this Sunday, we are unpacking empathy and storytelling. So, plethora ways of storytelling. If you didn't know, it's not just in the stories we read or watch in movies. A lot of people are storytellers, and maybe if you don't even feel like you're a storyteller, maybe think again. So yeah, that's what we're unpacking, and hopefully you guys get something out of it.
And it's like, again, like Sarah said, there's so many different kind of stories, from even photography to music to even like actually one of the workshops that we're having coming up is going to really talk about how we can like use social media as an outlet to really like tell our own stories. And even one of the collaborations that we just had this past week did a really good job of informing on that. So storytelling is so prevalent, but specifically empathy and storytelling is so important. I wanted to just give like a quick overview of like what empathy actually is. Empathy really refers to our ability to relate with another being, another human, another person, and really just not only have an understanding of their feelings and feel their feelings with them, but to really be able to like recognize that and aid in the support of that. So taking actionable steps to help change their mood if we can.
Hmm. Yeah, definitely. Another thing about empathy is although we're never gonna truly feel how a person feels because that is their own emotion, we have the ability to, one, understand well while we express how we're feeling, as well as that person expressing it back to us, and having a sense of like, yeah, I get it, and I'll do better, or you know, kind of just maybe in a sense like having an understanding, a starting point. So
Yeah.
yeah,
And really like you said, like it really could just mean showing up for another person and just letting them know that like of course I can never like fully understand all the things that you're going for, but I will be there with you and here for you in the best capacity that I can. And if that's like, you know, all that we can do, then that's our best and that's enough.
definitely. And the thing about distant connections is this is something within our best practices, and anybody that joins in a collaboration is going in with the intention of connecting with another person. So this is hard. Yes, you must be able to empathize. And so we share some information with them that we're going to be sharing with you today. So there's three types of empathy. I'm going to share about cognitive and emotional, and you can take on compassionate,
Cool.
which is probably our favorite. But cognitive is being aware of an emotional state of another. And this is just the awareness piece. So that's the first step of just understanding and knowing. And then emotional empathy is engaging with and sharing those emotions with another person. So after you are aware of somebody's situation, the emotional empathy is starting to feel it too, like giving that understanding and that camaraderie with that person. And so compassionate empathy is,
Yeah. I love that ability of like really like not only recognizing the feelings of another person, but holding space for that. But yes, compassionate empathy is it really involves the action portion of supporting other people. And that really is advocating for that person, showing up for that person in whatever way you can. If that does just mean sitting there with them and holding that space for them, or advocating on their behalf to make change, if there's a specific stressor that is causing that, if there's a way that you can help alleviate that, those are like perfect ways to show compassionate empathy. Yeah.
mm-hmm. Great. Yes, so that is what empathy is, but in this context, we're speaking on empathy in storytelling and the storytellers that we're going to be a little bit diving deep in. Hey, Roman.
Yeah. Yeah. It's waving hi. It's my brother. Yes, of course, like empathy shows up in all of our lives in so many different ways. But specifically, it shows up in storytelling, which is one of the biggest ways. I think why it was so important for me and Sarah to like unpack this specific topic is because this is one of like the really main ways that people connect with stories. People connect with storytellers. People are able to see themselves in a story that's being told, and that really like that not only like allows them the words or the resources to know how to process however they may be feeling, but they'll feel seen, they'll feel heard, they'll feel valued in that moment. And so that's super super important.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I guess like from that context, let's just kind of jump into all the different things that really make a story good.
Mm-hmm.
What makes a good story?
So we everybody has their favorite story, and what really hits home to a person is very personal. So for me, I typically like the hero's journey format of a story. Um, so I guess even before that, just I guess it's important just to share storytelling in the context that we're speaking in as well. Just the ability to express our emotion in a way that a person can relate and share these feelings, and then encourage another or motivate to make aware of a situation. So, the hero's journey for me is the one that I generally like because you see the main character go from one stage of life and then transform into something completely different, something that they've always wanted to be. Um, if you've came here before for a session, for an Unpack session, you probably heard of the book that we mentioned, The Alchemist. And so he was like a shepherd. Yes, chef's kiss. He was a shepherd, very humble life. But one day somebody came to him and was like, there's a treasure. And so he goes on this quest, and really the journey is the best outcome of the book. Like how he turned into just like a more stronger, better, more empowered version of himself, which it was always there in the beginning, but it just took the journey to uncover it. So I really like the hero's journey format of
Yeah.
storytelling.
Yeah, I think for me, I'm really drawn to the different relationships that people make throughout the stories, and all the different connections between the characters. I think seeing in that way how different characters are able to show up for one another, or how they're able to lend to lend to another person's story, like influence their journey in a way. When it comes to that book, The Alchemist, which again is like a phenomenal book, he met like various different people on his journey, and I think for me, relationships and friendships, I've also like I'm a little traveler myself because my parents have been in the military, and really just understanding the fact that like every person that you meet along your journey really does have an impact on you and on your overall story. And I think that's just why I've been so drawn to different relationships and different connections, because I see that literally for myself, like
Mm-hmm.
how my friendships have like shaped me, and how connections in friendships and relationships and stories literally shape not only the story itself but the characters, and allow them that opportunity to evolve.
Yeah,
It's
I
super
definitely say that
factor.
you've definitely done such a great job of that because everywhere that you've been, whether it's like Germany, California, like you've just been everywhere in the world, and you've always found like your people, and like you really invest in the people in your life. So that obviously makes sense why you like that form of storytelling because you're so
Mhm.
good at like cultivating relationships with people. So
Yeah, and it literally, it means so much to me because it's hard. It's hard honestly when you're in a new place and you don't have the opportunity to find your people. And honestly, it's not always been easy. There's been a lot of places that I've lived where it's been harder to find a community of people, for the entire duration that I've been there, or those relationships tend to change, which is expected. That's just life, but it is super necessary. Having good relationships really, I mean, they already tell you that you are the five people that are like closest around you, so
yeah.
it's super important. But I'd love for us to get into like some of our favorite stories, and like why they resonate with us and how empathy shows up in within those stories.
Yes. So I took it in a different route, I guess, because like you said, everybody are like everyone that we meet are storytellers, and what great storytellers that we've kind of, you know, have been influenced by or just a little bit more recently. I thought politicians are definitely storytellers, whether you like it or not, whether you believe their stories or not. That is the messaging that they present to the group of people they're following or those who are listening in. Um, is that's their storyline. So, for instance, during Biden's campaign, um, whether you believe his stance or not, his storyline is that he's a family man and he's here to restore faith into America and have a more united nation as Americans would like to have, of course. Um, and then also, uh, female, Black, Indian, um, Kamala Harris, that's her story right there. Like every time she delivers her messaging, she's always talking and lifting up her story of growing up with immigrant parents and really having to fight to get to where she is in life. And the story that she's building is really truly to evoke people's empathy and be able or having those viewers be able to trust her.
Yeah.
And so they do a pretty good job of really sharing who they are, what is their story, where do they come from, their background, in order to be able to connect with American people and then have them trust them for them to be the leaders of this nation. And so truly, like, there are storytellers everywhere you look if you're looking right in the right lens. um, those, I'm not going to say they're my favorite storytellers, but
Yeah.
that's something that was a little bit more recent, that I personally, after yesterday, listening to their speeches, I connected to it very well because it really pulled to my heartstrings. And so I have a little bit more faith and like exactly what they wanted you to get out of their speech. Faith into the American people or America as a whole, having unity. And then also, um, in a sense, I always look for like, where's the love? And he mentions like let's drive out hate and replace it with love. So I thought that was beautiful from their messaging.
I agree. Yeah. And I think that also is not only um, a really good, like, also point that I just started thinking of is when it comes to people who tell their stories, especially when you have politicians and you have leaders, this does end up like influencing the story of the United States of America, especially from, how things have been going this year, how things have been going over the last 4 years.
Yes.
And that this is a part of America's story as well.
Yeah.
So
And the thing that you mentioned is like something that Joe Biden, Vice President Joe Biden, said is that in the story of America, he also mentioned that is like there's always going to be those rough patches in American history, but you always seem to see, you know, right after there's a low, there's going to be a high. And so he wants to take us on that trip to restore hope into America. Not only that, but also provide change and things of that sort. But I thought that was really cool that he also brought in the history. And another thing about empathy, I guess just reading up about that earlier today, is like not only evoking that present emotion, but bringing in the past and past generations of people, and really that history of a person's life is really important when you want to share a certain story. Is like bringing them on that journey and like to where they are now, to the future.
yeah,
I love
yeah,
that past, present, and future outlook.
that's facts. Literally, like, I think not only recognizing how this is, or just I think the idea of like recognizing that there's nothing new under the sun,
Mm.
and like everything has like a root cause, and you also not only have to be able to recognize what is going on in that moment, but like what is like the history behind it? What is like the root, and how can we like work together
Mm,
to address it all?
yeah,
Super, super
I
important.
definitely agree. Yeah, but what about you? What is a story that really resonates to you? And yeah, I guess.
Yeah. One of a story that I really liked, I'll I'll actually talk about a specific like organization that I'm a part of, which is called Scope of Work. Love them to pieces. Scope of Work is based in New York City. The founders, Edith and Geneva, they are all they are women of color, but the specific story of Scope of Work is about seeking out young BIPOC, Black, Indigenous, and people of color, um, and developing their talent. The ages are pretty much from like 17 to 24, so about like when you're getting out of high school age, but really like developing a talent and establishing equity in the creative space, which is such an important story and such an important mission to be on, especially in a time like now. I mean, in a time like forever, because
Mm-hmm.
forever
Yeah.
this has been necessary, this has been needed. But I think what that shows me is like I think as women of color, and like as you know, people who are starting an organization in general, I'm able to like see how they empathize with others, how I can empathize with them as like as leaders. They are phenomenal leaders, like
Mm-hmm.
incredible mentors. I adore them so much. um, but I think just with the support that they give to other people, and the ability to really advocate on the behalf of others, on the behalf of young people of color, to establish that equity in the creative space, is they're telling our stories. They're telling our stories. They're making like efforts and like work towards not like history, but history in a way. Like they're really like, I don't know, they're doing the work that needs to be done, and
Yeah.
that is so important. And that is so important to have, people that are going to be able to advocate for you. I know it can be a little bit hard, because you may not always find that, you may not always have that community. But I think just from the work that they've done, from the work that they've been able to allow other people to do, has like inspired me to even like be a better me. And um, again, with those like those relationships that we've created, with my hero journey, with their hero journey, I just think that's a super. I think they. I'm getting a little choked up, but it really
Yeah.
resonates with me, the overall mission of the company, and
Yeah.
just the idea that like Black people are important, and we are valuable, and we are creative, and we are.
So many things. Like we shouldn't be
Yeah,
put in a box. Like there's so much that we are. And I love that you have like those leaders that you can look up to and actually even, get on a call with and ask those questions, which is super important. Like um, our parents, most likely, they didn't have a lot of leaders that looked like them and who could share similar stories or see themselves in their leaders. And that's a shame because unfortunately they had to pave the way for us to be able to do what we do now. So definitely want to thank them for doing the things that they did in order
yeah,
to be the people we are. I think that's so important. I love that you have those leaders, mentors to look up to. Definitely important, and even like the messaging that so does. Um, that's things that we aspire to be at Distant Connections too. Is something that is very inspirational. Like uh, like I don't know, because for us that we have big dreams, we have many things that we want to accomplish in life, and having the ability to like look and see like, wow, it's done, it's there, we're gonna get there too, like it's
yeah.
possible. Um,
And
so
it can be done. That's a super important thing with storytelling. and with empathy, like sometimes feeling like, oh, like my story is not important, like this is an important venture, like it's not valued, it can't really be done, like no one is hearing this, no one is like really seeing the value in this. I think having those representations are so important because it allows other people to recognize that it is a value, it can be done,
Yeah.
and you're on the path doing the good work. So
Yeah. Yeah. That's I love it. I love to see good work like that because
love to see it.
man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how about you? What's another good story that really resonates with you?
Another one, something very new. On Friday, I went and I got this book that I've been meaning to get forever and ever. Like probably the past year, I had my eyes set on this book. And it was after reading um, so there's a book and a community called Well Read Black Girl, and so in that community, the all the rage is Bell Hooks, and she's a writer and civil rights activist. So this is the book I grabbed, and it's all about love, new visions, and oh hey Chasme, and the book here is how we've strayed away from talking about love and how our generation, and this book was written, I think, in 2010, which I still feel like very relatable today. We've been pulled away from the idea of discussing love as is, and a lot of people in the civil rights space um, want to make change, but are you getting a little bit of feedback? Okay. But basically, make change, but you know, not be able to bring in love at the same time. And for me, that's always something that I look for in anything I do is bringing in that kind of joy, love, togetherness, connection. All these kind of themes is something that I look for in a story. And the way that she tells her story is really cool because she is also something that I can relate to. She is a Black woman in America, um, and she's very well educated. Um, she has taught at Yale and other different places around the world, which is pretty cool. But the way like she tells her stories is very passionate, and a lot of people in the academic space don't always use this kind of imagery or wording. They always are kind of more like, I don't know, by the books, a little bit more stern. But the way she brings in love into all her talks, it's quite like inspirational. And so I really like the way that she's been telling her story. I'm very much in the beginning stages of the book, but I know like you can just tell a good book from the beginning. So I'm really looking forward to getting deep into it.
I
But
didn't get that book.
yeah, I'm gonna send this to you when I'm done. I got a little bit of writing in it so far, but yeah, how she pulls in empathy into the reader is um, like sharing, first starting off with her own story, like where she's from, what's her background, and then pulling you into other people's story. So she pulls in just different experiences, like her walk into work. Again, she's an educator. But during that time, nobody really, I don't think a lot of people knew, obviously, in the workplace about her personal life, besides of her being a civil rights activist, is she was actually going through a hard divorce. And she kind of lost faith in love and felt like there's no hope. But one day there was like a graffiti artist who put in like big bold letters. Um, I wish I could. I don't remember the exact words, but it was basically something like "Don't lose hope." Um, and come to find out, it was actually a a gay artist who was sharing his love of his partner and not to lose hope. And it was just very like a political piece. Um, and to her, she knew right then and there, it was like, don't lose hope of love. And every day that she went out to work, like, it gave her a little bit of a boost of energy to share her mission and passions to her students. So, and at the end of the day, she turned 40, she found love, and all of that. So there's always a happy ending
Yeah.
to that story. But
I love that. Oh my gosh. I know,
and
like,
that's just the intro. Like, there's so much.
yeah, I know when a lot of people think of like love stories, they think like, oh my gosh, little sap, little rom-com. But literally, like, even how you mentioned, like, with the story of like politicians, and specifically how they are the leaders of our country, like, love is so important, and making sure that that's like a part of your story, and that you're something that you're sharing, even like as you just said, like, that's something that inspires others, that's something that others can connect to, and lets them know that, yes, like, I have a story on like love that I need to share too, and like, this is something that we should all be talking about, we should all be participating in, like, this is necessary. How can we show love more to one another,
and not like shying away from that conversation either, like not saying like, I mean, it to each his own, but for me, like, I believe in it, and I'm sorry if you don't burst my bubble.
yeah, love is important, like, literally, like, love be healing something.
Yeah.
So I just feel like you get on the boat, like, come
Get
on.
on the boat. Yes, this is one bandwagon I can vouch for. But yeah, that's me. How about you? Next story. Boom. Let's go.
Another one for me, this one isn't as like it's another book, but it's not necessarily, I mean, it could be one of love in a sense. When I was really little, like probably in the third grade, I had this favorite book called Escaping the Giant Wave, and I have no idea why this was my favorite book. Essentially, the book was about a kid who he was the oldest kid. He had a little sister, and I think probably from there. I mean, I'm not like an older. This was a guy, and I'm not a guy, but I have like a younger sibling, so I like already kind of like identified with that. Like, I'm an older sibling, so I always will identify with stories that have an older sibling and them talking about like their perspective. But he had this kid that he went to school with, and this kid was a bully. He was making his life horrible. And then I think over a summer break or something, they went on a trip. And so at this trip, it wasn't even like a real trip. I mean, I forget where they were living in the first place, but they went on a trip to like Oregon. So, I guess. But
I'm
I
a
mean, I
nature
don't,
girl, so I kind of like.
I've never been, so I don't know what they got going on out there. It's probably amazing.
Yeah.
I wouldn't know. But they were at a hotel, and the parents had like left the hotel for some reason, and then all of a sudden there was a tsunami. There was a giant wave came out of nowhere, and this little boy had to like go through all these things throughout the hotel to try to save his sister, and then he had to try to save this bully kid, and like it was such like I'm saying it a little funny, but the way that the story like really went about for him to have to like save this kid and like show kindness and show care to this like little boy that was being disrespectful and being rude and like hurting him, and that he was like, I'm still gonna like save you and still gonna take care of you despite that. I was like, wow, that's great. Like,
That's real character right there.
that's character right there.
Yes.
Quality.
For those that joined, yes. For those that joined, we're talking about empathy within storytelling. Right now, we're just digging deep into one of our favorite stories and those that have inspired us to hopefully inspire you and your stories and how you can tell better stories as well. So that is the context of this pretty cool story that Jazz is sharing right now.
Yeah.
Yes,
But that was
I
just,
love that. I love a good like childhood story because you never forget those because it like when it hits home for you when you're young, like you'll never forget it, you know?
yes. And that was like, I used to read that book again and again and again and again. Like, just, I would
Mm.
read it all the time. That was literally my favorite book. I need to like get it now just for like nostalgic purposes because
Is
such a
that
quality.
like is that like you and Dreamgirls?
Kind of, but like Dreamgirls is more grown, and I that
Yeah.
will always be my favorite. There's really good stories in there as well.
Yeah.
Really much towards the end where the empathy portion showed up, but I mean, I only like good stories. I
Yeah.
got good taste. I'm not gonna, but
Character development and all that.
you know, we gotta get better and better. But
Yes, ma'am.
that those are like really really quality. So
Yeah.
I think it would be really good because not only are we the founders of Distant Connections, and you know we do these things trying to create resources and opportunities for others to connect and for others to share their stories, but we also create stories ourselves because we're also creative. So I'd love to talk about like what is maybe not your favorite, but what are, let's maybe talk about one of your projects that really resonated with you that you think does a really good job of expressing empathy in storytelling.
Definitely. So one of the projects that I'm pretty proud of, and was shared on Instagram and also in a few other places.
Because you're
So some,
doing things out here.
yes, ma'am. But so it's called Deeply Rooted. Me myself, I am a immigrant from. I mean, I was born in Italy, but lived in Ethiopia, and because of some, you know, um, I guess civil unrest and war and lots of um, economic disparity in Ethiopia. Um, Unfortunately, I'm an Eritrean by nationality, and um, we had to se- separate or leave our home and come to America. So I was very young. I was 5 years old, but you understand everything that's going on um, when you're that young. Just kids know a lot. So, but I didn't actually get to truly understand the full story of us. Um, you know, I know we got here and we had family here already, but I wanted to get to know the full story. So I asked and interviewed my aunts, and I wanted it to be more of a story driven through the woman's perspective, because in our culture, generally, the men will kind of overpower or want to share their stories. And I know the way my grandpa explains it, I know the way my dad explains it, but I don't know the way my aunties have really struggled. And man, like the respect that I have for them,
Yeah,
big,
because
so big.
that's a whole different perspective too. So
Yeah, it's not only a different place, but it's a different language, it's a different culture. It's like starting from zero, and truly they've had so like you said, the relationships that they had have brought them to where they're at. Big shout out to the Catholic Church and um, Orthodox Church as well. That's helped my family so much throughout the years, and the American government as well, because my dad worked with them and was able to get us much more of an easy route than many. But it was to get back to the project, I kind of diverted. Um, it was a photography project, and I showcased it at a marketing conference, so kind of an in-person experience. And I also included a video to go with that, which is kind of weird because I had to hear my own voice for the first time and record that. But now I'm getting used,
voiceover.
yeah, I'm getting used to my voice. So it was really cool because, as a photographer, you can go ahead and take like all the photos in the world, but if it doesn't have meaning and if it doesn't tell the story that you really want to um, be able to share with the world in an impactful way, then there's no meaning in the work that you're doing. And to me, I always want to bring meaning and tell a good story, and what
Yeah.
better story to tell than my own and my family's own story. Um,
Yeah.
yes.
I love that. That's so like meaningful too, and like again, like this is like a part of like your legacy now. Like this is something you can share with like your family, like not like the
Hmm.
family like that is a part of it, but like, you know,
Yeah.
God
Future.
willing, having some kids, you know.
Yeah.
Like this is something, and of course like even from the way that you share this at a marketing conference and you're able to share your stories with others who don't have that like that familial context, or they don't have like that culture
Yeah.
that they're a part of, but they're still able to like hear and connect with your story.
Hmm.
Super fantastic.
Yeah, something that I did include that you reminded me of for context is I included some photos from my cousin's wedding. And so the cultural symbolism in like Habesha, if you haven't heard the word, Ethiopian and Eritreans, the group is called Habesha. So Habesha weddings it's all symbolism, everything that really happens within it. So within those pictures, you get to see the garb of like what the bride's wearing, the different foods and display that we have. So it was a marketing conference, but the everybody was white basically. So they were like, "So what is going on here?" And they were
Yeah.
really interested and was received well. So you never know how a certain audience will receive it because it wasn't intentional for them, but
Mm-hmm.
they received it well, and that's all you can hope for. And telling a good story, they got to empathize and be able to relate in some way, or if not actually relate, still empathize and have that compassionate empathy. There you go.
Yeah. How did your family react to it?
So Thanksgiving, I had to share this multiple times because I think they're very proud of it, and that was the best part of it. Um, some tears. So Thanksgiving, we did like kind of a reveal of the video that I made, and it definitely hit home to my family, and they've gone. Some of my family members have gone through a lot more than I have. I was young, so I didn't really have to do much, but just be here and go to school and learn the language. Well, I already knew English, but it was my third language at that moment. But they really had to struggle, so it brought back some good, some bad memories, and all that.
Yeah.
But overall, they were proud, and so that's all I can wish for and hope for.
That's awesome. I love that. I love that.
Yes, hopefully we'll continue it. But
That's
how about your project? This project I love, the one you're going to
my
share.
this project, this was one that was actually done kind of with they had an independent study series over the quarantine, probably towards the end of the summer. Excuse me. And the idea was to um, pitch something in which we explore the concept of home. And so for me, as a producer, I wanted to produce something. But then also, I think it's a little bit hard because there's so many facets that go into producing a project, and like I don't know, I'll end up taking on multiple hats. Like I'll end up being creative on the project. That end up being, if it's a film, I'll end up being like the videographer and the editor as well as the director. So I end up taking on a couple of different titles as well as producer, because I'm still managing the time. Like I'm still producing, but the idea was to explore the concept of home, and I wanted to take home and look at that from the perspective of like an internal thing, like our bodies are our homes, our own bodies are our own homes. Because I think in the time of COVID specifically, you know, we are spending a lot of time at homes, at our houses, if we are, you know, fortunate to have that ability to do so. I know a lot of people they're working a lot more. They may have lost their homes during the time. So there's a lot that's going on. I think emotionally, And mentally, it's a very stressful time for many. Your bodies can feel like a very anxious place. It may not feel necessarily like a place of like solitude, like, oh, I have time to myself, like this is nice. Like it may actually make you more anxious, but I wanted to use that concept of like our bodies being our homes, and tell like a dance story, because I've always been into dance. And so I made like a short dance film about making our way back home, and the it was called Moving Home. And so I think for me, that was when it plays into empathy. I think it's really important for us to also show that to ourselves, for us to show kindness and compassion to ourselves, to be able to show up for ourselves, um, and recognize feelings within ourselves, sit with those feelings, and understand that, yeah, like these feelings, like I am me, and these feelings are my feelings, but these feelings are not me. And be able to take steps to find a healing solution, whether that be I need to go to therapy, or I need to go to the gym, I need to just like exercise and physically like complete the stress release cycle. Maybe I need to laugh, maybe I need to like find something to like creatively express my feelings. Like that was, I think that was the way that I wanted to go about it, using dance and using film. But that was just so, like, that resonated with me, something that I've been feeling a lot, and I was able to include a friend in it, who danced during it. So that was another big step for me. I've not really included a lot of my friends in my creative ideas, because I think they just feel so personal, that it can be a bit like, oh my gosh, I gotta get vulnerable with my friends, tell them like my like actual like creative thoughts, and see
Yeah.
them like express those. So that's kind of like, oh, but it turned out really
Yeah.
great.
Well,
I was so thankful. Yeah.
that in itself, like, how was that experience bringing in somebody into your creative process, and like, how were you able to express like your vision so that translates to them? Because I know like they're going to be part of that storytelling piece and
Yeah.
making sure that the vision and then that emotion and empathy
Hmm.
plays into that. So how was that? I definitely was curious because that's definitely hard.
Yeah. I mean, for me, I think dance has always been like a very like explicit form, or not explicit, but it's been like a very like tangible way to see, your creative expression released. And so I wanted to find someone, like I thought about dancing on my own, but I was like, this is not going to reflect the creative goals that I'm trying to in this project. So I need to find a dancer that is like, or someone that is comfortable with dancing.
Yeah.
Um, because I think specifically from a dancer perspective, I think it is a little bit easier to express my feelings, mostly because I don't know. I think when it comes to dance, I always think of someone who is like unencumbered. Like they're so
They're
they're
able to feel a little bit
they're
more.
able to feel, and they're like they're super okay with being vulnerable. Like they don't feel like they have to like put on a show or hide, or don't have to like cover up or like try to be like, they're just able to just fully be. And that's really what I wanted. I wanted to make sure that I was able to find someone that was going to just be, because I really needed to just be so we could get this thing done that we need to, the way that we need to get it done.
Mhm.
um and luckily, like I have a really close friend who's very close by to me that was able to do that. And I shared my idea with her. I shared the pitch idea, and then the overall kind of like script, or like the outline, the little storyboard of how I wanted this to be. We worked on choreography together, and I think what also helped was she like understood my vision. And this was something that connected with her as well, something that she felt was super valuable. And when it comes to like your creative ideas, like you really need to be careful, honestly, with who you tell these ideas to, because if you're not talking to someone that is like really going to see the value in what you're working on, I think that could really break your spirit. And like,
Yeah.
I'm so thankful that I wasn't working with someone that was like going to break my spirit on this project. Like that was like
Especially when
totally
it's first.
uplifted. Yeah.
Yeah.
Super necessary. So that
Yeah.
was like, that meant a lot to me. That was my first time doing like a short dance film, but I love that project. So
I love it. I know it's like something that like is a challenge because it's something like new, but you really like killed it. And
thanks, friend.
it was amazing to see like both my friends, because Kimberly, amazing dancer, and then you directing, videographer,
And
like
it's so
everything.
funny
It's
too.
so
You know
cool.
what? You remember so a couple of like maybe a year and a half ago, I was telling the world, I was telling God, I was telling somebody, I was telling my friends, I really want to get good at like speaking. And so Sarah's like, oh, there's this public speaking thing, this womanhood workshop. Let's do this. And
Yeah,
so funny thing enough, Kim literally was like, I want to like get better at dancing. And then this project shows up. So it's just funny how you be saying
how
things, you
God
be
works.
talking about you want to do something, and then the opportunity comes to you. So boom.
Yeah, yeah, you gotta speak it into existence. Yeah, I don't know how many times that were like where I think of things and it doesn't happen, but like when I start like communicating that into the world or to somebody else, then all of a sudden like things start to happen, things start moving,
Mm-hmm.
and yeah, that's something we need to get like be able to become better storytellers, so then we can continue to build onto our own story,
Yeah,
love, and it's all connected.
I love it. Love
Yeah,
it, love it, love it. But I
cool.
think we won't keep you on, everyone on for too long. We appreciate you guys for sitting with us. And we're also curious, maybe to ask you about some stories that have resonated with you that you'd like to leave in the comments for us, share with the community that you think would really help elevate us, and how
Yeah.
you've been feeling during this time. Like
Mhm.
specifically, like thinking back to like some of our personal projects and how they connect to, our culture or like our homes and our state of being, like how that has been for you. We'd love to hear from you.
Yes. There's the either the comments or like the question feature. Feel free to use either one of them.
Yeah. Thanks, Joe. Thanks for hanging around.
Thank you. Thanks for the
And hey,
love.
Arn. It's always good to see the friends come out, show some love. But we will be sharing right after this, like right after this gets closed and posted. We're gonna reshare a link that, or not a link, a post that we made about empathy, specifically in the 3 different types of empathy. If you want to go over that again, it's super helpful. That's something that we include as a best practices guide for all of our collaborators and everyone that we work with. So be on the lookout for that.
Yes, most definitely.
Good things, good
To
things.
make sure that it's still plugged up here. But yes, amazing talk. Thank you all for joining. Um, like Jess said, make sure to stay tuned. Or also go ahead and put this on our page so you can review and look back if you were tuning in later on in the discussion. So thanks again, everyone.
Yes. We love you all. Until next time, we have a workshop coming out Saturday, and we have more collabs this week. The promos tomorrow. Stay tuned. Fun things.
Notification bell on. Put it on so you will never miss anything coming your way. Love
So
y'all.
good. Bye.
Bye.